What's up, everybody? Today we're going to do a video predicting what we think the next second awakened monsters are going to be in the Dimension Hole. Now, I did a video similar to this, or not similar to this, but I did a video talking about what the potential candidates were a few months back. But lately I've been getting a lot of people asking me, like, what do you think the next second awakened monsters are going to be? And I'm like, I thought I talked about that. They're like, tell me more, tell me again, tell me the things that they might be, whatever. So instead of doing like a big thing of like all the things that it might not, all the things that might be, today we're going to talk about like 6. I picked 6 that I think are the most likely candidates. And I guess I'm assuming that, here, let's take a look at this. I'm assuming that they're going to have, similar to Karzan and Elunia, 2 more dimensions here. It doesn't show any more dimensions aside from that. I don't know how many second awakened monsters are even going to be in total, if they're just going to do 8, or if they're going to start adding more dimensions here, some more little images. We know that they're at least going to be 2 different dimensions. I don't know that they're necessarily going to do another 4 at the same time. They may do 2 at the same time. They may just add 1 more dimension and be like, here's another 2 monsters. And then another few months down the road, they'll be like, here's the 4th dimension. And here's another 2 monsters. So I don't know. I'm just assuming that it's going to be 2 extra dimensions and 4 new monsters all at the same time. But it could not even be that. Also, they could start adding more to Karzan and Elunia. You never know. Although it's fairies. What else would go with the fairies? There's only a couple of different monsters that may even go in the fairy dimension. But we don't know that. But anyway, just wanted to say that we assume, and I've kind of also assumed that they were going to have, I don't know if I assumed or if they actually might have said something like, we want to do them every few months. We want to have more Dimension Hole content. I think they might have actually said that. I don't know if I actually assumed that. I think they might have said that. But today we're going to see what I think the most likely candidates for the next second awakened monsters. So this one, to start it off with, the Hellhound. I'm gonna bring them up. We're gonna talk about their different skills, whatever. Original monster family. This is one of the first. When I say original monster family, it's one of the first monster families that was introduced to the game. There's a lot of different stuff, like for example, these ones, the Hargs, that came out way later, right? But the Hellhounds are one of the original monster families in the game. They were there since the beginning. I think that's, actually I know that's one of the big stipulations of why they want to second awaken certain monster families more than others. That they want to do the more original ones that no one really uses anymore. Light Dark Secret Dungeons, like that's another big thing. Like they're trying to focus on things that people are not really using. Original monster family, people are not really using. Light Dark Secret Dungeons. There is no point, and there's so many people that are like, oh, Battle Mammoth. I'm like, there's the Light Dark Battle Mammoths are not available to everyone. So if you've never summoned a Basalt or a Marble, you can't do those Light and Dark dungeons. So you are only half the content that's available to you. And from a development standpoint, they're not going to make dungeons that some people can't even do. Like that they're like, oh, cool, I can't even get into the dungeon. I don't have a Basalt, I don't have a Marble. This content is not for me. So they really want to not do that. So they also, there was some things saying that they might add new secret dungeons to the game. I don't know how. I don't know anything about that, like what secret dungeons, if they're gonna do that, or if they decide against it, etc., etc. But they may, somewhere down the road, add new secret dungeons if they feel like they need to. But currently, let's talk about, like, let's leave it to only the monsters that have the Light Dark Secret Dungeons of that element available. So, no. Also, 4 stars, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, like, things like that don't have 4-star counterpart. Although I don't think anything in here has a 4-star counterpart. But like, let's say for example, if the Hargs were an original monster family, they have some 4-star counterparts, so they're not really gonna do those. Also, these Hellhounds were actually mentioned. There was an interview for Come To Us when the Dimension Hole was first talked about, or released, and they like after it was released or something like that. I don't know. Around the release time, there was an interview and behind-the-scenes thing, and they mentioned the Hellhounds specifically by name of like, well, we were looking at some of the monsters like Hellhounds and seeing like, oh, no one really uses them, their original monster family, etc., etc. we want to see them being used more. Why aren't they used more? We want to make them, give them a fresh coat of paint, etc., etc. So I feel that since they named them specifically by family name, that they may be a very likely candidate for Second Awakens. And they're relatively unused. Not too many people use the Hellhounds very much anymore. They used to use the Seek back in the beginning. Seek was definitely one of the more used monsters. So let's take a look at the Hellhounds. First skill does, I mean, all of them do big damage, right? This one, big damage. This one, double hit, big damage. Well, I mean, this is not big damage, but this is like the big damage skill. Like, this was just wrecking face. But this is another thing to think about. This was used more when monsters had low defense. Monsters used to have lower defense because there was no grinds and gems. So the defense really stacks pretty significantly, whereas like you need ignored defense, not ignored defense, you need defense breaks at this point to like really kill things. Things aren't gonna die unless you have ignored defense or some other type of damage where it's like bombs or defense break or Skogul. Like, it's really hard to kill things without defense breaks of some kind, unless it has low, like Perna has low base defense. But this was more used back in the day when things didn't have grind, so you couldn't grind on top of extra defense, right? And then this Begin Hunt, this is why everyone was like, get your Lucians to 70%, because this was crit buffing the Lucians to 100%. So attack power and crit buff. This was a common team was Tyron. What was it? Tyron, Bernard, Seek, Lucian was the meta arena offense back in the day, because in the beginning there were no will runes. I know everyone's like, there's so many players that have like, they were like, will runes have always been in the game. No, have not always been in the game. They were introduced at a certain point, but back in the very beginning, it was, you didn't have to worry about will runes. So people were using Chloe on defense because it was like, well, we gotta protect ourselves against the Tyron, Bernard, Seek, Lucian. So we're gonna use that. We're gonna use the Chloe. Yeah, speed leading Chloe. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, so that was one of the old. I don't know why I'm getting off on a tangent. That was one of the old monsters. He used to be very usable. He used to be very good, a very common arena offense monster. But he's actually not. He's still not that bad. I don't think they would really change too much on him. Add a defense break to the first hit of this. That'd be crazy. I don't know really too much that they would change on that. This one might be barely changed. Like, this one might be just a little buff to ambush and the base HP attack defense. I feel like this is just so strong already. I don't know that they would really change too much to make him even stronger. That's crazy. Gamir would probably be heavily changed. Lower your HP, higher your attack power, but he's not really used that much because it is enraged passive. The lower HP, he's just gonna die. If he takes any hits, he's just gonna die. So I feel like that this would just be erased and something else would go in its place. Like, Gamir would be definitely changed. Interesting to see what he would be changed to, but yeah, Shamar, good old Shamar. He's similar to this. Attacks and stuns the enemy for 1 turn, reduces their attack speed for 2 turns. I mean, this is reusable in 4 turns. I know it's not a high star level monster, but like when you look at all the other monsters that are around, especially the ones that stun skill 1, it's like, if a monster is going to stun skill 1, like the fairies stun skill, like the water fairy, for example, she freezes skill 1, right? So you got a stun skill 3 with a 4-turn cooldown. Like, come on, man. Come on. What are you doing, Shamar? What are you doing? You're stunned. So I feel like definitely these two are going to be heavily changed. This one would get a buff as well. Is really fast. So the higher, I mean, he already increases his attack speed though, as just part of his passive. So higher attack speed based on, I mean, this is one of the fastest monsters in the game actually, if you think about it. Increase the attack speed by 15. It just increases it like the whole match. So, yeah. So that in coupled with his base speed is really crazy, and then increases as the HP decreases. But again, that same thing of like, if he starts to get hit, he's probably just gonna die. So you're really not gonna get into a place where he's getting hit a lot. So I feel like maybe that just gets changed completely, These three I feel are going to get to change the most. Because you know how, like, the Ramagos wasn't changed really that much. It was like, oh, he's a little bit tankier. And that's about it. But tankier is still good, right? Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't really changed a tremendous amount. But I don't feel like these guys aren't going to get changed that much. These three are going to get heavily changed. Or at least I would presume. Okay. Next, family. How do you change something like Lulu? Because she's already pretty good. She's already pretty good. Let's take a look at the health. Oh, so again, one of the original monster families in the game. Light Dark Secret Dungeons, relatively unused. No one's really using the hell. Maybe Lulu, right? Lulu's actually really good. If you're early game, you don't want to do Veramos, just use Lulu. It's a 2-star. It's super easy to skill up, and she's just cleanse and immunity. You don't need Veramos for you don't need Veramos for anything. Veramos is like, what the Bagel, come on, man. Sorry, Veramos. What do we even need you for, Veramos? Okay, so let's take a look at Lala. She's got terrible base. Well, not terrible base speed. There's worse. I'm looking at you, Lapis. First skill, attacks the enemy target, recovers the HP of an ally with the lowest HP ratio. That's not really going to get changed. Removes all harmful effect on target ally and recovers both your HP and the target's HP by 20%. I feel like this one wouldn't get changed too much. Maybe it's 30% and like cleanse and debuff on you too or something like that. Or maybe it's puts like a 1-turn immunity or something. Or a 1-turn defense buff. Like a little something, but it's not even that bad. Dispel attack removes up to 6 harmful effects on an ally and attacks if possible. When does this ever get used? What the hell is that? When does nobody ever uses this? What do we need 6 harmful effects on an ally? If your ally has 6 harmful effects, it's been attacked so much that it's dead. This is never used. There's no point in this. This would just need to be erased from the planet and start over. Lulu's actually pretty good though. She actually makes sense. We got this, we got the cleanse, and we got the heal. The whole monster makes so much sense. From like a monster standpoint, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but it makes sense as a monster. Removes 2 harmful effects on all allies, recovers HP, grants immunity on the allies who had no harmful effect for 2 turns. So, heal, cleanse, or heal, cleanse, or immunity. So it's really nice monster. It's a really nice healer. Really solid. You can even use her in raids. You can use her. She's like a really good healer. Heal and cleanse. Anyway, Chi-Chi. I don't feel like she's really going to get changed much. Chi-Chi, what does Chi-Chi do? Chi-Chi's got the second skill, Dispel, the same one. And then she's got the third skill, Attacks and Heal. Attacks an enemy, recovers all allies by 50% in inflicted damage. For a support unit! What? Why don't you have that on like a DPS unit? Like that's a Cadiz, but she's Cadiz, guys. She's Cadiz, except she does no damage, so she heals for hot garbage heal. So, yeah. So that's a thing. It's a support unit, so this makes not really a whole lot of sense, which is why she doesn't get used. Lulu actually does get used, though. Shushu's not as bad as the others. She's got this. She's got the Dispel. I'm looking at what's the difference on some of these. Oh, this is recover 2 HPs. This other one doesn't recover their HP, just recovers your HP. That's kind of weird. It would make more sense if it did both, right? Like if they all had to heal. Anyway, the second skill is like not even that bad of a skill though. The heal recovers the HP of all allies, recovers the ally with the lowest HP, grants immunity on the allies with full HP. Like again, the Shushu's not even that bad of a monster. The Cha-Cha! Good old Cha-Cha. First 2 skills we already talked about. Attacks an enemy, also transfers the harmful effects on yourself to the target. I mean, this is really beneficial if you have a bomb that hasn't detonated. Aside from that, I mean, if it's not a freeze, like you can't. This is like the The Water Dryad. This is like what the Water Dryad does, kind of. Right, hacks an enemy also transfer the harmful effects. I mean, if this did like all of them, but it's not really like, it's in theory, it's like a cool, when I first saw her, I was like, ooh, this is cool. Where can I make this work? The answer is not really a whole lot of places. Because, I mean, like, if you have silence, if you have freeze, if you have stun, like, you can't really transfer that, right? So, if it was on another monster, it would be more usable, right? So anyway, good old Cha-Cha. They did, it's like a watered down version of the Dryads. So anyway, those are those. I think that they could definitely see Second Awakens. That's one of my predictions, right? Salamander, and of course I have 6 predictions. I don't think all 6, obviously definitely not at the same time. We might see 2 next. We might see 4 next. We're not going to see 6 all at the same time next. It's not going to be like, oh, 6 monsters, next dimensional hole monsters, 6 monsters. Salamander. So, one of the original monster families. Light Dark Secret Dungeons for the Salamanders. Easy to get them. Relatively unused monsters. You don't see anyone building salamanders. Like, some of them have a little bit of uses, but you don't see anyone building salamanders. Let's take a look at the salamanders. What they do. What do you do, salamander? I mean, sorry, Salamunda. I stole that from Childish. Salamunda. First skill. Decreases attack power. Not bad. Also, some of these, if you're thinking like, maybe some of these could be used in raids for front lines, like the other people. When the raids first came out, people theory crafted. They were like, oh yeah, you can actually use some of these for raid front line. So attack power break. There we got the stomp here. Damage to the enemy stuns the target for 1 turn. Damage increases according to your defense. And if I recall correctly, it's not even like that crazy damage, right? Attacks all enemies with powerful earthquake. Decreases attack power by 50% each. This attack will deal more damage according to your defense. So this is kind of like a Varad, except that it doesn't freeze, and it doesn't decrease the attack gauge by 100%. If this decreases the attack, if this decreased the attack gauge by 100%, and had 1 lower cooldown, this would actually be a good skill. That's skill 3. So this would actually be a usable unit. If he had better base stats, and this decreased it to 100%, and 1 less cooldown, this could be a usable monster. Remember, you guys don't appreciate decreased attack gauge, but remember what they happened to Shayna. They took the attack gauge decrease away, and everyone's like, she's unusable now! So, decreased attack gauge is very strong. Just FYI. You talk about Shayna being great in TOA hard because decreased attack gauge. You talk about Varad being good in TOA hard because decreased attack gauge. Ganymede because decreased attack gauge, etc., etc. So, definitely a... He's not even that bad. Just a little tweak to him would actually make him not bad. Make him a viable monster. We have Glacial Shock, same thing, attack power break. Attack power break is really good for defense tanks for R5. Just in general. Attacks damage to the enemy, decreases attack speed, and does more damage according to your defense. Okay, decreased attack speed for 2 turns is not anything crazy. The other one, stunning, is better. But 2 debuffs for R5 is not bad. Charge to the enemy, freeze the target for 1 turn, weakens the defense, attack deals more damage according to your defense. Like, this is even, looking at this, the freeze, I mean, it's a single target freeze, reusable in 4 turns. Not really that amazing, right? But it's a freeze and defense break. So this, if it was just a defense break, maybe for 2 turns, and it did like a lot more damage, it could be even better for R5 if he had a little bit better stats. I could definitely see him as a tank, because you look at him, he's got 3 debuffs. He's a defense tank, and he does damage based on his defense. So if he had a little bit more damage output, and this was like a little bit different, like he could definitely be, again, these guys could be definitely good for raids. We have Lucan. I think some people were soloing Giants even with Lucan. For a while, I think it was like not even a new thing. But yeah, attack power break here. This continuous damage here. More damage according to your defense, and then regenerate removes the harmful effects on itself, and recovers HP accordingly to the number of effects removed. So, more harmful effects, more HP it recovers, and it's got the continuous damage there. So that's why, and the attack power break. So that's why he was used for Giant speed. It's not gonna. It's just a gimmick thing. It's not gonna be like fast or anything. Oh my god! It's so fast. 25 minutes later, I can't really farm reliably with this. Lols. But this is only itself, right? So this is kind of like a solo thing. Whereas like you look at the water howl and it's everyone. So. Is just not anything really exciting aside from a gimmick thing for Giants B10, and you really don't. What are you going to use it for in 2019? Gimmick thing for Giants B10 in 2019? No one's going to farm with that. That's crazy. But anyway, yeah, he could be. I mean, like he kind of could be totally changed because this is kind of a. Well, it's not a support thing. It's just. No. What again for raids? No, this one even less viable in raids. This one, I believe this is actually the good one for raids. The attack power break. This one decreases attack speed, does damage based on your defense, and this one gain immunity against freeze and stun effects. Increase the recovery amount you receive by 100%. So if you bring like a Colleen in there, she heals for a little bit. She's gonna heal him even more. So nice for frontline for raids. I actually built him I have him 6-starred, this Charmin. And then we have this guy. This guy continuous damage as well, attack power as well. This guy's actually good for immunity against freeze and stun effects. Your damage does your attacks do additional damage proportionate to target's max HP. So this is really good for example, the Hall of Water. That's where I would use him. And then he's got of course the continuous damage. But if we take a look at like the other things that are really good for like they do damage based on target's max HP, it's like the things that you use for TOA bosses, and it's things you use for like Lin does damage based on max HP, Sigmarus does damage based on max HP, Spectre skill 2 does damage based on max HP. So this is not bad that this is even his passive, right? So it's his passive, and this also, I mean, this is just really, really good for Hall of Water boss B10. You don't really need it for everywhere else in the game, but it'd be cool if they were improved to see use in maybe Guild Wars, although they are defense-based monsters. So, can't really use them in arena defense if you use them for defense. Maybe even RT. Could you imagine Salamander RTA meta? Could you imagine if they were like, if this was like strip, freeze, defense break? His base speed's only 99, but if it was strip, freeze, defense break, that'd be pretty interesting, right? Like strips all beneficial effects, freeze and defense break. Salamander RTA meta. So, I could see that being used, possibly. I don't know about. I don't know. I feel like some of these would get changed even more. Continuous damage. I mean, that was exciting in the beginning, where it's like people were using dots to beat giants and dragons and stuff like that. But at this point, no one's using dots to beat things. They're just using damage. So, what do we have next? Vagabonds. Oh, vagabonds. So, where's this vagabond? So, original monster family, light dark secret dungeons, relatively unused. Some of them are not even that bad if we take a look at them. So let's take a look at them. Obviously, that's what we're gonna do. First skill, defense break, really nice. Second skill, double hit, attack power break, does damage according to your max HP. And then we've got this third skill. Well, he also has a dungeon leader skill, but it doesn't quite. We don't use him in dungeons, right? If they had like Guild War leader skills or arena leader skills. But then the Beast Monks would get jealous. Beast Monks would be like, yo, screw you, come to us, I'm a Beast Monk. Come on, man. You have me defense, you have me dungeon leader skill, what the hell? So anyway, increase your defense for 3 turns, provokes all enemies with an 80% chance. This is actually not bad. Like, I like this guy. I built him for the free to win account. I actually use him. He's nice. He's a usable unit. I feel like he wouldn't even get that much of a change, to be honest. I don't know. I wonder if, see, these vagabonds, I feel are prime for monsters in this, like, similar to Artemil Feng Yan, how, like, if they get hit, the attack gauge increases. I feel like vagabonds could be, like, in that if I get hit, attack gauges increase, kind of thing. Like at least their attack gauge. So when I think about like the vagabond skill sets, I kind of feel like attack gauge increase would make a lot of sense there. So then we also have the water one. The water one, what does he even do? I always forget myself. Defense break here. This is a provoke, right? Provoke, good chance to provoke, and reusable in 2 turns when it's skilled up. Damage more damage according to your max HP. So with the second awakening, they would have more HP and they would do more damage with that as well. More attack as well, which is also going to contribute to the damage. But yeah, 2 things that are going to help them do more damage. When your HP is lower than 30%, the damage you receive is reduced by 50%. Could you imagine, like, or like, what if he had like HP lower than 30%, and then he gets like a defense buff, and it's reduced. Could be interesting. Could be interesting. But what Feng Yin? I mean, a Feng Yin? Not Feng Yin. What's his name? Molong. Nobody even uses Molong anymore. What Molong? Anyway, I think he's got interesting potential. These guys have interesting potential when they're second away. I built this guy too. He's got the same first skills as the fire one, the attack power break. And then he's got this one. Attacks the enemy lightning fast slash. Makes the target attack bar drop to 0. Inflicts an irresistible provoke. So, I feel like... I mean, he's kind of similar to Jubel. He's got this... They have a lot of provokes on here, though. You got the provoke, you got the provoke, and then you have the provoke as well. So, like... I mean, Revenge already is good for them. They have a defense break first skill and a provoke. So, Revenge... And they're HP tanks. So, when I think about that, I think of, like, more passive. HP tanks with passive things are great. I feel like there's a lot of... There's a long line of good HP tank passive units. And I feel like these Vagabonds would benefit more from interesting tanky passives. Like, Camille's got a tanky passive, Fire Monkey's got a panky passive, Wind Monkey's got a panky passive. So, oh my god, 27 minutes? Jeez, we gotta finish this, man. We gotta finish this. But yeah. Darien, I feel like Darien would not get changed much. I mean, what do you even change with Darien? He's strong already. He was already buffed. When was he buffed? It was a while ago. It was like a year ago, wasn't it? It was a while ago, but still. Because I think this was 15%, right? I feel like this was 15%. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe he was never. No, he was buffed. Right? Maybe I'm going crazy. Anyway, damage reduction on here. People already use him in some. Like I've seen slash used arena defense teams with like Artemil and Darien. And it's just HP, light HP lead is crazy, plus HP tank, plus damage mitigation. It's just like things don't get hit for a lot of damage, and then they cut in, they do crazy things. So yeah, those are fairly decent arena defenses. The Artemil, Darien, and like even, what is it, like Molly, and some people use Jean, some people use Mihail, because Mihail on Nemesis is not bad, like against the Lucians. So it's kind of annoying to deal with those teams. What else? Stuff like that. Anyway, Darien I don't think would get changed much. That's what I was trying to say. Is Darien I don't think would get changed much. This guy, what does this look like? A Final Fantasy VII second skill with the Buster Sword. Well, it's kind of like Final Fantasy inspired. All of this stuff is Final Fantasy inspired, isn't it? It's an RPG, so it's a long line of predecessors. This guy is hard to build. He's got amazing base speed. 113 base speed is really good. And he's got a provoke that keeps reducing the cooldowns and decreases the chance of receiving a critical hit. But I feel like every time I try to build him, I have him 6-star, by the way, in my main for years now. Every time I try to build him, I'm like, the rune requirements to build him on a fast crit damage build is insane. It's so hard. It's so hard to make him tanky enough, plus have crit damage, plus be still have decent speed. So it's like Camila rune requirements. Like how you like if anyone has a well, those of you that have Camille's, I know if anyone has a Camilla. No, no one has a Camilla. For those of you that have Camillas, you know how hard you're like I need every stat on her, every stat. Okay, okay, every stat. So yeah, Jubel's kind of higher rune requirements than most if you want to build them crit damage. I mean, no one ever said you had to build them crit damage, but I wanted to build him crit damage, and it's always a challenge. Anyway, what's next? Next on the list, Viking. Oh my God, these guys have potential. These guys could be really, really, really cool. So, original monster family from the beginning. Light, dark, secret dungeons available for them, and relatively, you don't see a lot of people running Vikings for anything. Let's take a look at the Viking skills. First skill, this is just continuous damage. Like, they're all continuous damage. Like, no one cares about that. Second skill is defense break. Damage increases according to your HP situation. I mean, it's at least a defense break, but it's reasonable in 3 turns. This Marauder passive is the cool part. Recovers HP by 30% of the inflicted damage and steals 1 beneficial effect. Even if his stats were just higher, that would be really cool, because this is almost a usable unit already. Steals beneficial effect. Steals beneficial effect and defense break. So this is steal beneficial effect, defense break, and heal. It's kind of nice. His base speed makes him like not really super usable, but if he had higher base stats and a little buff, little tweak, because he's got a leader skill too. If he had a little tweak, I feel like he would be definitely a usable unit. Because he's already, I mean, he used to be used in the very beginning of the game, but he used to be used in Dragon's B10. Just FYI. You can actually use him, because he steals, every time he gets a turn, he steals a beneficial effect. So steal beneficial effect from the dragon and defense break is not bad. It's not bad. You remember Shayna Martina, right? How everyone is having an easy time in Dragon's B10 with Shayna Martina? Yep. Steal beneficial effect and defense break. Okay, moving on. Continuous damage. Second skill, this increases his own attack gauge. Through 3 axes at an enemy, attack gauge increase if it's a critical hit. Like, this is Ciara's first skill, but it's reusable in 3 turns, and it's not really too much of anything. Then we have this, increase your critical rate by 15, and the damage of your critical hits by 30%. I mean, he's not really doing too much. He's not really in the meta too much, because he doesn't, like, it's like, oh, well, you build him for crit rate and crit damage. He's kind of cycles turns, but not with his first skill. So that's like, it doesn't do, I don't know. Not very exciting. Anyway, Walter, continuous damage. We have this, decrease the enemy's defense is the same as the fire one, and then we have this firing axe. Those 5 axes randomly. 30% chance to inflict continuous damage for 3 turns. Reusable 6 turns, though. I mean, the first thing you're thinking, 5 axes randomly. Continuous damage. Okay, well, could you use this for Necro? It's his only multi-hit, and it's 5 axes. It's reusable in 5 turns. There's these other stuff for Necro. You don't need to use this guy for Necro. Not enough multi-hits. Not enough multi-hits. Like, you want multi-hits on the first skill. You want the Cowgirls for Necro, not this guy. People have used him in Giants B10 early game, but not really anything exciting in this current meta. It's 5 random. It's the same thing as the Wind Succubus, which you don't even see used either. Then we have Jansen. Jansen's pretty cool. Flying us we know what this is. This is the multiple throw. This is the CR first skill, but with the 3-turn cooldown and doesn't really do much. Shout of Victory fills the attack bar up by 50%, recovers 15% of their HP. This guy, and it's reusable in 3 turns. This guy's potentially really good if he gets a second awakening and a buff. Jansen could be very cool monster. Very cool monster potentially. So I'm excited to see what what Comptos has in store for Jansen if and when he gets a second awakening. Plus the Viking second awakening? Can you imagine how cool that would look? Can you imagine how cool that would look? Imagining very hard. You're doing like no imagining right now. Okay, moving on. Where are you? Continuous damage first skill. Second skill, defense break. Damage increase according to your HP situation. And then we have revive all fallen allies with little HP, increases all attack speed for 2 turns. Increase the attack bar to 30% for each. Increases the allies' attack bar by 30% each, increase according to the number of revived allies. So if we need to revive a whole lot of monsters, then it increases the. This is a crazy. It's a crazy skill, but I mean, you could run a gimmick team with that. It's at least better than the Light Fairy, but still, you don't see a lot of revive stuff. If he had like a death prevention thing for himself and then did a revive, he's got a speed lead too. But interesting, but unusable. I mean, not unusable, not really used right now. He could be used at some point in the future after things change a little bit, because it does show promise. But the most promising, the most interesting ones already are the light and the fire ones. The other ones would need like big changes for them to be like meta. But you never know. I mean, we saw some things become very popular. Like we saw the Water Fairy. The Water Fairy got very popular in high level RTA. So you never know what could happen. You see a lot of people building some funny things. The Dark Pixie, who was absolute garbage before, was a usable monster. She reset cooldowns like a Zyros. So you never know. You never know. You never know. You never know what's going to be good with these Second Awakenings. It's really cool. We have the last one, the Yeti. Good old Yeti spaghetti. Okay, so let's take a look at the Yeti. Again, original monster family. Like our Light Dark Secret Dungeon, super ugly. I like how I included super ugly in this. He's super ugly. Nobody loves him. You could do a better job in 2019. Come to us. Don't make us wait till 2020 for a makeover on these Yeti spaghettis, okay? So what do we have for these Yetis? These ones, some of them seem kind of interesting. So we have, I think these ones might benefit more from like first and second skills that like are worth anything. So we have the first skill. Double hit, decreases attack speed. Second skill, decreases attack speed. Damage according to your max HP. It's not... Second skill, decrease attack speed. Hold on, guys. I'm so excited I can hardly contain myself. It's not anything. This one, Ancestor's Blessing, creates a shield. 50% of your max HP for 3 turns, recovers 15% at every turn. This is potentially pretty cool, right? So, especially like if there was like a shield and immunity, that would be even cooler. And then if this did like something else, like more damage, and like instead of decreased attack speed, it was like a defense break or a stun or something like that. So, this could potentially be something like after the Second Awakening, not now, but after the Second Awakening, a fire tank that's also a threat, that also has a shield and recovers HP, like that's potentially something for like a guild siege defense kind of thing. If they Second Awakened him nicely, this could be a unit that you see in guild siege defense. All depends on like what they even do to him, right? We have Kunda. Ooh, Kunda. Same first skill. Double hit, attack speed break. This is not terrible for Necropolis, but I mean you don't really use these guys for Necropolis. Attacks the enemy 2 times, stuns the enemy for 1 turn. More damage according to your defense. So this is at least better than the Fire one's second skill, because we've got a stun here. And then we have Wall of Ice, grants immunity for all harmful effects for 3 turns. Reflects 30% of the damage back to the enemy. Removes all harmful effects. So I did actually 6-star this guy on free to win. The big thing though is this Reflect does not very much because he's a defense tank. So, yeah. Not super great. Reflect is better for HP tanks than defense tanks. But potentially, if they changed his type to HP, and they did... I mean, he could be useful if he was like a HP type. Right? The Fire one's HP type. So, I saw promise in him, but he's... has promise. Like, if they take him in the right direction, he's got some promise. HP tanks are really good for Guild Siege defense, especially if they can be anti-Copper Bulldozer, Lucian kind of things. So if it's good enough, Second Awakening, if it's got enough HP, if it could be kind of like an HP bruiser threat, it could be really good. You don't really see a lot of defense units usable in the current meta unless they're on offense. Because anything defense based on defense is just going to get ignored defensed. So you can really only use it on offense, and why build a Kunda if you just build a Copper Bulldozer for a defense-based unit? You know what I mean? So that's why you really don't see these things. This guy's actually not bad. Recovers the HP of all allies proportion to the number of surviving allies. This is not a bad skill. He would be better with a makeover, but he would be also better a little more something in the first two skills. But I feel like this guy wouldn't even get changed that much. Better stats and a makeover would make him useful. A little bit some more, but like same thing with Shannon. Like, this guy's already usable. They're not gonna buff him too much. Arcajon, this guy is kind of interesting because I can actually use him. Like, I can actually find ways to use him. I know you're like, don't buff him for TOA hard, please. Please, Bagel, don't tell him to buff him for TOA hard. This is potentially not, it's a stun at least, so it's not as bad as just the slow. This Silent Rage passive counterattacks with 50% chance when an ally is attacked. This is not that bad. This is not that bad. With better base stats, he doesn't really need much. With better base stats, and if they like tweaked one of his first two skills, like if this was a stun and speed break, oh my god, that would be Artemil with no strip. So he's actually I hate to say he's a usable unit. I've used him and it's worked more often than you'd think. That this is actually usable because he doesn't even need a turn to do his things. He's on despair though, so he's on despair. He's gonna counter when an ally gets attacked, and he's gonna despair. It's like Artemil. Just think of it like Artemil or like a Wind Monkey. So that's exactly this. You know. He's actually a usable unit. Weirdly enough, he's a usable unit. Like, I built him for the lulz, and I was like, he's still ruined. He's still ruined. He's not even in my top 10 regrets, because I don't regret him. That's how bad it is, or good it is. Anyway, Kume, here's another one. This is a Nat 3 as well. We've got this, damage according to your max HP, and just decrease speed. I mean, if this was like something else, if this was like more damage, if it had a higher multiplier or something like that, that'd be better. We've got this hostility passive, reflects 10% damage. At least it's an HP unit that reflects damage back to the enemy. Fills up your attack bar by 30% every time you're attacked. This is potentially even usable too. If you had a better second skill, which like did more burst damage or had another debuff, that would be good. And better base stats, and also, I don't like this reflect damage. Like, reflect 10% of damage back to the enemy. If it was more damage, or if it was damage based on... I like the attack gauge, though. This is already... Filling up the attack gauge is already nice every time he's hit. I mean, Feng Yan, it works for Feng Yan, so it works for Artemil. Some of these units are actually more viable than you'd think, but it needs to be in a certain team. And they don't strip with skill 1, though. Like, Artemil will strip and stun potentially with skill 1 on his revenge. So, take this away, or take the reflect away, and just make him, I don't know. Maybe don't take the reflect away. Can you imagine if he had a provoke? Oh my god, can you imagine provoke skill 1? Like, if he had, or more provokes. Because provoke and refill the attack gauge could be like a really dangerous combo. Provoke something, they hit him, he revenges and fills up his attack gauge, gets another turn, provokes them again, fills up his thing, keeps getting hit. So he's got some potential too. Anyway, those are my thoughts for the next 45 minutes. Bagel doesn't shut the F up. It should have taken 15 minutes. These are my next predictions for Second Awakenings. What do you guys think? Again, take a look at the monsters that are here. Like, some of these are not going to be, like, you look at the things like the Grim Reaper, like, they don't have Light and Dark Secret Dungeons for them. They're not going to give us stuff like that. The Cowgirls are newer monsters. They're not, like, the intent of this Second Awakenings was not for the newer monsters. It's for the unused, old, wrinkly, hairy monsters. Not necessarily hairy, but unused, older monsters that no one's really playing with, that everyone has access to. So, older and everyone has access to. Those are the kind of the stipulations. There's some other ones that could be Second Awakened, like the imps and stuff like that, are very viable as well. But I figured I would pick my 6, and we'll see if I'm right. Who knows when they'll even come out? 2024. Here's hoping 2024. Jeez. All right, guys. Anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you as always in the next one.